impartida por Shaul Olmert. Para la Asociación de Amigos de la Universidad del Tel Aviv en México, es un placer cumplir con nuestra misión de traer como invitados a científicos, académicos y emprendedores del más alto nivel a participar en la Semana Nacional del Emprendedor. Queremos dar un agradecimiento especial al INADEM por abrirnos las puertas en este significativo evento. Asimismo, da un reconocimiento especial a la Embajada de Israel en México y a Feher y Fair por apoyarnos en la coordinación de este evento. Ahora sí, tengo el gusto de presentarles a Shaul Olmert. Él es fundador y CEO de Playboss. ¿Todos conocen Playboss? ¿Sí? Bueno, los que no lo conozcan, hoy van a saber un poquito más. Esta es una plataforma de contenidos en una línea gratuita que permite a los editores, vendedores, blogueros y marcas para transformar la forma en que cuentan las historias en línea. Seguramente aquí debe haber por lo menos algún bloguero o alguna persona que sea fanática de los blogueros. Actualmente, más de 40,000 de los narradores de cuentos cómicos más importantes del mundo utilizan Playboss para crear, distribuir e integrar concursos especializados, encuestas, listas y otros formatos de medios interactivos en cualquier sitio web, página social o aplicación móvil. Los artículos desarrollados a través de Playboss están perfeccionados para el intercambio social y se han clasificado entre los contenidos más compartidos a través de la web, alcanzando casi 1,000 millones de miembros únicos en la audiencia desde el lanzamiento de la plataforma. Miles de editores y marcas prominentes utilizan Playboss para hacer crecer su público, impulsar el compromiso del usuario, aumentar el tráfico web, ampliar su alcance y maximizar las interacciones sociales. Ahora sí ya saben un poquito más de lo que es Playboss y quiero que por favor le demos un fuerte aplauso para darle la bienvenida a Shaul Olmert.
Hi, hello. Thank you, Mariana. Hi, everyone. Thank you. It's great to be here in Mexico. First time for me, so I'm really excited. And I hope that your English is a little better than my Spanish, or that you can at least follow the translation for those of you that have earphones. And I'm curious, how many of you are entrepreneurs or are thinking about opening your own company one day? All right, great, perfect. I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. So I'm here to tell you my story. I'm 40 years old, and only 3 or 4 years ago I started Playbuzz. It was the first time that I started my own company. I was involved before that in a couple of companies where I was part of the team, but I was never really, I never really made the decision to leave everything else and take this big risk of starting something of my own and running my own company. And I did it for the first time at a relatively later age. Most people that start companies do it when they're younger, like you are. It was a very interesting change in my life. And what I want to do today is tell you a little about Playbuzz. I prepared a presentation that's pretty boring, and it's like, showing a lot of numbers and graphs and other stuff. But, I'll try to make it less boring by really making it more of a story about starting your own company and about what's it like. As I said, it's a lot of fun, but it's really not easy. And it's a very interesting journey. It's a very interesting quest that I'm in the middle of, and I'm hoping that will continue to be exciting and successful. So basically, look, all of us have changed the way that we consume content, right? I mean, I'm sure all of you have a mobile phone, and most of the content, most of the online content that we consume on our mobile phone. And it's a very different experience than it used to be, because we consume information while we are very distracted. Our attention is somewhere else. We don't really pay full attention to the content we consume. Research showed that almost 80% of us don't even finish reading an article that we are starting to read on our mobile phone, because it's too much text and we are too busy with other stuff and the phone rings in the middle. So content is really changing. It's not what it used to be. And it used to be, many years ago, if you wanted to be a media company, you needed to have a lot of trucks or your own printer houses. It was, very expensive and very hard to compete in the media market. Today, everyone can just, send something to Twitter, upload a photo, and immediately it can be viewed by millions. if it's good content, if it's interesting content. So a lot of things have changed. One of them is that the business model has changed because how many of you use ad blockers, blocking ads on your browser or on your phone? Well, not too many, but you should know that today, a lot of the young people, especially in America, but also worldwide, are using ad blockers. So they no longer view the advertisement, and so the whole business model of publishing has changed. And there are, I hope you're familiar with some of these names. There are new publishers. There's a new breed of publishers that are actually doing a really good job in this new market and are kind of becoming the most interesting and most successful publishers in the market. And what they do, I'll skip some slides, but basically you can see that they are very popular on social media. So if you look at Facebook and Twitter and others, you'll see that sometimes they can post a story and this story goes to 20 million people or something like that. There's a lot of reaction, a lot of pickup. And what Playbuzz is trying to do is to help everybody else in the market to enjoy the same kind of success or to have the same kind of tool set that made those publishers successful and bring it to everyone. So, I'll be very quick about that, and then, I really want to focus on, more of like the story of how we started and how everything took off. So basically, look at those two pictures. One of them on the left side is the old world. This is how publishers used to tell stories. This is how media organizations used to reflect on reality on their media channels. They used to write long articles with a lot of words, and people would sit down and read them. Today, it's not very effective because we are on a small device, because we don't have full attention, because we used to do 20 things at once. So today you can tell the same story with just, 2 images and 1 witty title, and it achieves the same effect. In fact, it's much more popular. So, it's really about how to do storytelling, how to tell stories in a way that's compatible with today's consumption habits and today's devices and everything. So at Playbuzz, we developed a whole gallery of such formats, of content structures that are optimized for today's media world. So we have quizzes and lists and slideshows and ranking applications and a lot of different types of experiences that we're constantly adding new ones that are meant to give storytellers, to give authors, to give journalists the tool set to create stuff that is more fun than traditional long-form media. So basically, we have an online website on playbuzz.com. Everyone can log in. It's all free. You can come and you can create your own story, your own quiz or your own list or your own whatever. And then after you create it, you can put it on any website, on your own website or on your blog, on your company's website, or on playbuzz.com or everywhere. It's kind of like, YouTube, that you can upload a video and then everybody can put this video everywhere. So we did the same for those new formats of content. And after the story is published on your mobile app or on your website or wherever you put it, it's just being promoted like every other story. Here you can see an example of how Time Magazine used Playbuzz to create a story and then put it on their website, and then they are promoting it from their homepage or from social media, the same way that they do with any other article. And since those items that are created with Playbuzz tend to be very popular, they generate a lot of traction. We work today with more than 5,000 publishers, 5,000 media companies. Mexico happens to be one of our most popular markets. I don't know why it happened, but it just did, and we're very happy about it. It's actually right now, this month, it's our second largest market after the US. So, we're definitely going to invest more and put more resources to work with the market here in Mexico and in general, the Spanish-speaking market in Latin America and in Spain and in the US, because there's a lot of content every day. Hundreds, if not thousands, of content items are created in Playbuzz in Spanish. So, we just have a lot of traction with the Spanish-speaking market, and it's great. And in those publishers, you can see a lot, of very big names, but also a lot of small websites. Again, I'll skip some of the slides, but just so you can see, that publishers like NBC and MTV and Major League Baseball. Is baseball popular in Mexico? You guys like baseball? No, not at all, a little bit. All of these publishers create different content items using Playbuzz and then put it on their apps and on their sites and everywhere else. Really what's interesting, and I hope not to bore you with too much technical details, but just so you understand, the reason it's so successful is that those kind of content formats are just really, creating real engagement from users. We said that users don't read long articles and stuff like that. With our content, with content that's created by our content partners using the Playbuzz platform, we have achieved those pretty amazing engagement rates. People spend on average 4.5 minutes per page. 94% of them complete the entire item. So if they started reading an article somewhere else, statistically, 80% of them will not finish. On our items, only 6% don't finish it. So, it really does create good user engagement, which, is why it's so popular. And just in comparison, this is data from a year ago, but, it's still more or less accurate. We generate 3 times as much engagement, 3 times as much social traction on content items created with Playbuzz than any other publisher in the market, which is obviously big. On our website, which you may know, playbuzz.com, we are featuring the content from different publishers that created content with our stuff, which made playbuzz.com the most shared website on Facebook worldwide for the past year, which is phenomenal. I'm not going to go, we have a lot of examples here, I'm just going to quickly browse through. The only thing that I think is interesting is just to see that, different publishers use the exact same content format, like in this case a quiz, or in this case a trivia contest. So, it can be Football Club of Barcelona, and it can be MTV, and it can be Independent, which is a newspaper from England. And they use it in different languages, in different verticals, in sports and music and, history and geography and gossip and parenting and, pets, everything. Just to show the diversity, that we really don't care what content is created. We just give you the platform, we give you the template, and you guys create whatever you want with it. So, there are a lot of different examples. Most of here is in English, but we also have a lot, as I said, a lot of content in Spanish as well. So, skipping all that, just one, interesting stat is that in Latin America, in January, at the beginning of the year, we had 3 million page views per month. And now we have, I think in September, it was already like 35 or 36 million. So it's really, really growing. We grew more than 10 times in less than a year, and we're hoping to grow, 10 times this year as well. Just very, very popular here in Mexico specifically, and in Latin America in general. Here you can see some examples of some of our partners in the Spanish language. Not all of them are based in Mexico or in Latin America. Some of them are from Spain or from the US. But they create content in Spanish. And some examples of how the exact same content that I showed you earlier is created on our site in Spanish as well. Okay, now, enough about Playbuzz, what Playbuzz is. Now I really want to tell you the interesting story of you start a company and you don't know what to expect, right? I mean, many people start companies, and I've been involved, as I said before, in as a partner in other companies. And many of them don't take off. Sometimes you start and you build something that you really put your mind to it and you really try hard. And it actually is pretty good and people like it, and somehow it never gets traction. And, to be honest, there isn't a recipe. There's nothing, if people tell you that they have a clear path on how to be successful with content they create or whatever, don't believe them. They're lying. There isn't any scientific way of ensuring that what you do will be popular. But, I want to tell you the story of how we got popular, and, maybe some of these ideas will, inspire or give you some directions on, what to do with your own companies and how to try things that will hopefully be successful. So, really, how did we get from 0 users to 80 million in less than a year, in 6 months, however much it was. So basically, when we started, we just did everything that we could without money, right? We shared a lot on social media. We called all of our friends. In the first week that we launched, I single-handedly picked up the phone and would call all of my friends and will tell them, listen, I'm sending you a link in an email, and I really ask that you click on this link and then that you share it on Twitter or Facebook. And, please do that. I'll really appreciate it. We were really manually doing it. Obviously, we haven't done it with 80 million people. But, when we started, that's how you start. You start just, by doing legwork, by doing everything yourself. Nothing very sophisticated about it. Just try to get some initial enthusiasm going. Try to get the spark going. It got us, in the first months, we grew from 0 to 15,000. 15,000 users is a lot. It's nothing to be ashamed of, but it's not enough to form a successful media business. But it gave us the confidence that, when we try and we put it out there, users really do like it. And there is potential here, and we should continue to invest and continue to try. Then, our platform is an open platform. Everybody can come and create content. So some people created content, and most of this content wasn't very good because, people, sometimes they create good stuff, sometimes they don't. But every now and then there was like one item which was actually fun. And then one day, the dream that every entrepreneur dreams about sort of came true overnight. It was the night of February 26, 2004. It wasn't that long ago. It's less than 2 years ago. We were 2 or 3 months after we launched, so still very early days, still a very small company. We were only 6 people in the company, and we were all doing everything together and working day and night out of a very small office, trying to make it happen. And then some girl from Oxford, England, created this quiz on our system. At the time, we only had quizzes. It was before we had all the other content formats as well. Created this quiz called, Who Were You in Your Past Life? I was a pirate, by the way. Those quizzes in which you answer a few questions and then it tells you, oh, you were, this or you were that. So, and she created this item. And then, I don't know if you can see the numbers from here, but so on February 26th, we had 1,500 users on the website. And then that item got published. On the next day, we had almost 1 million users on the website. So just this one item, one successful item that became viral, and that everybody thought it was just a good item and funny and shared the result, and people were like, oh, this is so funny. I was a football player in my past life, and I was, a restaurant owner in my past life. People shared the result, and it got other people to click on that, and before you knew it, in one day, we grew 1,000 times, from 1,000 users to 1 million users. And then started the interesting chain reaction. Out of those million users, more than 200 people also created more items. And some of these items were crappy, but some of them were pretty good, and they started spreading out as well, and they brought in more users. And some of those users also started creating their own items. And then became this, great effect in which the more users we have, the more content is created. And the more content is created, the more users it brings with it. And, by the end of, 6 or 4 months later, we already had 10,000 content creators and almost 70 million users a month. So, it all started just by creating a set of tools, putting them out there, trying to give them the initial push, and then let things happen by themselves. And, if they don't happen by themselves after some time, maybe the product is not good enough. Maybe the product is not what users are looking for. Maybe they have other products which they like better. But, you don't have control over that. The only thing that you can do is create the best product that you can put out there and then give it to people. You have to invest a little in creating the initial spark and, getting it out there so some people will have a chance to test it, but then it kind of lives on its own. And then either it's successful because people like it or it's not successful. And then, you can start tweaking and changing and figuring out what's wrong. Since I assume most of you are, like me, using the internet a lot and like social media and like to create things, I want to give you a couple of examples for things we did. I'm going to skip a couple of the slides just to show you a couple of tactics we used in order to optimize, because the thing that people don't really understand, I'll actually start from here, is that it's not like you release a product and you put it out there and then you just wait and see. It's constantly evolving, right? We don't live in a world like the print world in which you released a book and then the book was printed and it was on the shelves and then people read it and either they liked it or they didn't, but you had no way to change things. Here we live in a world that's constantly iterative. On the internet you can constantly change what you do and try to optimize it. And the way to do it is by first measuring what people do with your product. What do they actually, how do they respond to it, so you can see what's working and what's not. So here's one interesting hack that we did. As I shared with you, we have a number of different content formats like polls and quizzes and lists. So every now and then we would create a new type of, we would say that we have a new type of format and we would give it a name like gallery quiz. We had no idea what gallery quiz would mean, but we said, let's create an example for a gallery quiz and put some pictures and see if people click on it. And then we measured how many people clicked. And when somebody clicked on it, it went nowhere. It just told him something like, coming soon, or, thank you, and, try again later. But then we measured how many people are clicking, and when we saw that a lot of people are clicking, we said, people like it, let's create it. So, it's kind of like a reverse thing. Rather than build something and invest many months and a lot of money in creating it, and then you're not sure if people like it or not, first see if people are interested in that. And if they are interested in that, then build something that will hopefully spark their interest. So that's like one trick we used, and we use the same methodology in a lot of different things we do. Another thing is, sharing on social media is a very important part of the business, because that's how people find out about you and that's how you get distribution and popularity. So we did a lot of testing, and you can see the little numbers for what's the best way to share. We started by putting a lot of different social networks, Reddit, Tumblr, Pinterest, put them all together. But then we saw that people click more on Facebook and Twitter than everybody else. So we experimented a little, and then we saw that when we put only Facebook and Twitter, 10.5% of the users share the item. And if we put more options, actually less of them are sharing. We thought it will be the other way around. We thought the more options we give people, the more likely they are to find something that they want, to find where they want to share the item. But it turns out that actually when you give them less options, they are more likely to click on them. So again, testing, measurement, and then optimization based on what you see that is working or not. Another thing that we constantly optimize is the creative itself. Like if when you go to Facebook and you view your news feed and you see different things that are being shared, some things grab your attention, grab your eye, and make you want to click on them, and some things don't. And you can never really know in advance what will work and what not, so you try. So for instance, we tried this item and we called it, what is your subconscious personality? And the click-through rate was okay, it was 12%. Then we changed, we took the exact same article, but we called it, what is your true personality, which is pretty much the same, but it's phrased differently and it's shorter. And we changed the image from an image that was a little bit darker to something that was lighter and had a more clear face structure in it. And it generated 16% share. So, it increased the share rate by about 40%. And that has a dramatic effect on the success of the business. More people clicking is more users, more ad impressions, more money, more revenue to the business. So doing those optimizations, always measuring what you do and changing accordingly makes a big difference. Another example here, you can see a huge spike, 80% spike in click-through rate due to the same mechanism. Constantly test, change, figure out. Nobody knows the answers in advance. The only way to find out what's working is to try things and then measure them. So this is really the day-to-day of our business. We're constantly throwing things out, trying them, see what works and what doesn't. When something doesn't work, we take it off, we change it a little, we put it back on, we see how, if the changes are positive or negative. So it's constant optimization. Now we are back to some boring slides, so I'll go very quickly just to say, we are different than publishers you see in the market like BuzzFeed or Distractify or Viral Nova, that are all great publishers. in the sense that as opposed to them, we don't create our content, you guys create our content, our users create our content, and our users can be people, just individual authors, or it can be, well, it's always people, it's never robots or whatever, but it could be people that work for Televisa, or that work for, MTV, or that work for any media company. All of them can just like, on Facebook and Twitter, on YouTube, everyone can create and can post. Same goes on Playbuzz, and that's how we're different from these guys. We're different than, content recommendation platform in the sense that, the content is really created on Playbuzz. We're different than social networks in the sense that, we're not a social network. We're not a place where you connect with your friends and share information. We just help people create the kind of content that is very popular on social networks. And really we are different than a content authoring platform in the sense that we don't force anyone to build their entire website or their entire app on our platform. You can actually create content on our site and use it even if you use WordPress or RebelMouse or any of the other content management systems. We always like to use the YouTube analogy. We feel that YouTube is the company that we most appreciate and most want to be like. Just an open platform for everyone to create content, to publish it, to be successful in their business using us. We always say that, we don't want to be number one. We want to help everybody else become number one. This is, our success is the success of our partners, is the success of the authors that create content using our system. Just very quickly, how we make money. So first of all, we just put ads on our pages. We have a very popular website, so popular websites make money, and that's great. But what's really interesting, and what really we believe will make a successful long run, is that we also offer ads to our partners. So when someone takes our content and put it on their website, they can take ads with it, and then we share revenues with them. And really the interesting part where we view the future of advertising, and we're very proud to be a part of it, is that we have all those great brands and advertisers like Domino's Pizza and Target and Absolute Vodka and others come to Playbuzz and create ads using Playbuzz. So, create something like which pizza topping should you get for your pizza, and then people enjoy to play it, and that way they also learn that Domino's Pizza has not only mozzarella and tomatoes, but also whatever, jalapeno and pepperoni and pineapple and other stuff. And after spending 4 minutes of playing this pizza game, many of them feel, craving for pizza and go to Domino's and order a pizza. And it works, it just creates a good experience and a good engagement with the advertiser's product, with the brand, that in turn generates transactions. So basically this is it. We're still a very young company. We are, we started 3.5 years ago. We raised some money. We're now 70 plus people, actually more like 90, almost 100 employees by now. It's been growing. We have offices in New York, which is where I'm based, in Israel, where we started, and also in Germany and in London. Hoping next year to open an office for the Asian market in Singapore, and office for the Latin American market, hopefully here in Mexico. So, you can come visit or come work with us. We'll look for talented young people to help us be successful in Mexico as well. And this is it. This is my story. I hope it's useful and exciting and entertaining. Thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Agradecemos la participación de Shaul Olmert con su conferencia Creando Gusto en los Consumidores por la Era Digital. Me gustaría que le volviéramos a brindar un fuerte aplauso, por favor.
Sure. Okay. Can I take this off?
Y quisiéramos otorgarle un reconocimiento. No sé por aquí quién va a entregar el reconocimiento.
Come back on stage.
We can do it later.
Sure.
Bueno, el reconocimiento será para después. Muchas gracias y sigan disfrutando de la Semana del Emprendedor, chicos.